Thank everyone for coming tonight, and I hope this will be an educational and a learning activity for all of you. I've got a statement here that's been prepared on E.R. Miles. Now that's the implement building. So I just wanted to read this. Okay, the Miles family lived in the original Summit Fort, which was along the creek, right along here. And Edwin R. Miles built a 3-story brick store in 1904. The Smithfield implement originated in 1914, 10 years later. And the business that had been owned by E.R. Miles' family operated in the building on the west side of Main Street, adjacent to and on the north bank of Summit Creek. That building no longer exists. The early Smithfield Implement Company offered a general line of farming equipment: alfalfa mills, threshers, heavy hardware, buggies, automobiles, and accessories. The E.R. Miles store became one of the most popular stores in Cache Valley because of the large variety of goods available for purchase. They even made deliveries as far away as Logan. Now this is back in 1914, 7 miles away. So all you had was basically mostly just horse and buggy. In 1917, the third floor opened to include doctors, law, telephone, and dentist office. After E.R. Miles' death, Mr. J.M. Roylance purchased the implement business, and in 1936 he purchased the E.R. Miles building from E.R. Miles Incorporated and moved his business to the present location there at the corner of 100 North and Main. The old building by the creek was demolished a long time ago, and the location is now part of the Smithfield Implement parking lot. Beginning in the 50s, Ralph Rollins came into the business on a full-time basis. He became the owner of Smithfield Implement when his parents retired. And under Ralph's management, Smithfield Implement has expanded into adjacent buildings, including those formerly occupied by the United States Post Office, Frank Wynn Confectionery, Joe Gutke's Meat and Grocery, and Jim Hill Plumbing, and others. And I remember as a boy, on the south side of the implement store there, where you had the old drugstore, Sally's Drugstore. And when they moved on and retired, Ralph Roylance, he bought that and expanded into that. But now we want to move on to Alan Lauer. And now, Alan and I, we go way, way back. And I'll pick on his wife, Laura, because my youngest sister and her were best friends. Is that a way to say it? But through school. So they were close. Now, Alan, as you see in the picture back there, was with his dad. I grew up on a dairy farm where we sold milk to the public, but Dad always wanted to raise a beef for slaughter. He knew how to feed it and showed me how to feed it, so he'd have a lean bull, not a lot of fat on it. And every year, every fall, we'd take it up to the Lauer's slaughterhouse. They'd slaughter it, and we'd go up a week later, about that, and pick up all the frozen meat, and we have meat for the rest of the year. Now, as Alan wanted to take over this business, he's told me that he saw an opportunity to move into the ready-to-eat meat industry. Fair enough, Alan? Okay? And so, but because of the situations, which I'd say was beyond your total vision, they had to expand. And I remember when they first started to expand, they went up into Richmond, into the old grocery store up there, and was sharing with Ernst's. Now, my background is in food safety. So one day Alan called me 19 years ago, and he says, I need some assistance. So he says, I'm glad to help out. We go way back. So it's been a pleasure for me to be able to work with Alan as needed on situations as they have come up. I've said enough, so I'm going to turn the time over to Alan. And if Alan wants to let Laura or Chad speak, I'd say go for it.